Travel more and travel better with Aeroplan. Learn about all the program benefits at aircanada.com/Aeroplan.
Good morning, Toronto. Welcome back to Breakfast Television on this Wednesday. We are going 4 wide here on the couch. It is great to see you. Once in a while, an anniversary kind of creeps up on the city of Toronto. And we all, as a group, kind of go, oh, it's been X amount of years since X. Today's one of those days. Where were you 10 years ago today? That's when the ice storm hit Toronto and a lot of regions in and around Toronto. 10 years since the great ice storm of 2013. 40 plus hours of freezing rain. You heard me right. 40. More than 30 millimeters of ice fell, leaving 416,000 customers without power as the holidays approached. 500 wires down, 2 million trees damaged. It hit Ontario, Quebec, Atlantic Canada, Maine, New England, New York, Michigan, and Arkansas. It went all the way to Arkansas. The ice was so heavy locally here around TO, it resulted in damaged hydro lines. The storm killed 27 people. This was a monster. The damage was $200 million, and Toronto Hydro says it has made significant improvements to harden its electrical infrastructure since this moment. This moment is one of those kind of where were you whens in the city of Toronto. I think we all have a story. Frankie, I'll start with you. Where were you when 10 years ago today?
A couple things I want to remark on first. You know, the city of Toronto is a green city. When we see the amount of damage that we have due to downed trees. We have a lot of trees, and the city of Toronto still needs to invest in forestry. We still need to make sure that we're properly pruning and making sure that, because this is where the loss of life happens. Where was I that day? Well, as the storm pushed its way through, I was lucky enough to retain power in Bradford. So I didn't lose power. I can remember this started on a Friday. I can remember coming into BT on Monday morning, driving into work, driving down Avenue Road to kind of see all the damage with it was just black, like it was dark, like there was no power still at that time, and the amount of trees that were around. I actually coached a hockey practice on that weekend.
By candlelight?
No, we actually, you know, we had enough power. North of the city, because temperatures were a little bit cooler, we didn't get as much freezing rain accretion.
Okay.
So some areas did get it quite a bit. It was where the temperature sat. But this was a remarkable event. This happened in Ottawa several years previous to this event.
Yep.
And this is going to reoccur. So it's really important to maintain large urban forests and trees in cities.
For sure.
Are you also saying panic buy batteries and bottled water and have the bathtub full of water? I mean, these things are going to be happening more often, right? More frequently.
And I know a lot of the times that people went and bought generators. After that, the amount of residential generator sales went crazy.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Well, I remember Christmas, because at that point people were still out of power. There were so many people out of power, it took a long time to get people back up on the grid. And my parents were hosting the huge Christmas party, sit-down dinner for like 40 people that we have in our very big, loud Jamaican family. So that night, everything was set for the amount of people.
You were good?
Power, yeah. There was power in Richmond Hill. My mom and dad had power. But that night, everyone's there, and all of a sudden it's ding dong. Oh, we didn't have power, so we decided to come after all. Ding dong. Oh, we didn't have power, we decided to come after all. Ding dong. 5 more people, 4 more people, 3 more people. We cannot run out of food. This is a Jamaican Christmas. Like, it can't happen.
Yeah.
So my mom had a little panic attack in the cold room in the cellar. Right. Well, I was kind of spinning with her. Like my dad afterwards, he's like, "You really helped her in that frenzy of panic." I'm like, "I'm so sorry."
You
in the end, no, I did not cook. Let's get real.
Well. I
don't care if it's a national disaster. Anyways, we had enough food. Where were you, Sid?
I was living in East York, and it was the Friday night, right?
Yeah,
when it all
started,
I think I saw my folks in Mississauga, drove back. Literally, we get in the bed, and you hear it, like you heard it, and it's like, oh, you know, it's gonna be. I won't sleep well tonight. And then it'll be gone. We had to stay at my mother-in-law's for days. I was on the Fan 590. I was filling in the morning show that following Monday. and I drove out at like around these hours, O'Connor, Broadview, there were no lights. There was nothing. Danforth, maybe when you got to the city, it was creepy as all heck. And it was just, you know, the power of, but to your point, like thinking about this 10 years later, in what world won't this happen again?
Yeah,
the temperatures fluctuate so much, Frankie. Like I'm telling you something you don't know.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely, Steph, this is, I think these images are in a way kind of good to see. We need to,
It's
you
a good
never know when
reminder.
this kind of thing's going to hit again.
You
don't
never know. Yeah, you never know when it's going to hit again. And I feel like this kind of definitely goes off of the chat we just had about the TTC, the preparedness, and what they're trying to do, you know, when it comes to that 5 centimeters of snowfall. And Frank, I think what you said about making sure that our trees are ready to take this kind of event again is so important. And I think we need to focus on that. When I was in university at the time, so I'm pretty sure it was a Friday night. I was at home and it was into Christmas break. So I just didn't leave my house for days. But when you said you heard that ice hitting the window, that is what I remember, the ice hitting the window. I was in Brampton and I'm pretty sure we had power because I don't remember not having power. But I just remember being scared and watching the news and hearing about all of the deaths that happened from this ice storm. And just, you know, it's just something that you really will never forget.
Yeah.
These images.
And I want to say the perfect time to call an arborist, if you have mature trees on your property, is in winter. Because they can see the structure of the trees. It's the perfect time that they can prune. It's a lot more, you'll actually save money because they don't have leaves to deal with. So like a little bit about what the story's about. If you want to be preventative,
For sure.
call an arborist right now, especially if you have large trees. A down branch can cause a lot of damage.
A lot of damage. Yeah.
10 years ago today.
Yeah.
We're 10 years ago too on top of that. Wow.
Whipped by.
We all look better.
flew.
Whatever.
Look at
We're all aging
yeah,
well.
look,
Yes.
we're like wine. Like wine.
We're going to take a break. Mel's got news coming up. Also coming up here on BT. Don't stress. Coming up later, appetizer recipes that will wow your guests at your next